Okay, so I went ahead and hit record so we can get started. In the chat box, I'm going to type in our introduction for today. Each week, I'm going to start with a different warm-up, something that you could actually use in your classes coming up. And it can be, some of them are going to be silly because some of us teach really young children, and some of them will be a little more mature because some of us teach more mature students. So let's go ahead and get started. So my first questions I would like everyone to answer is, what's your name? Where are you from? What grade level are you planning to teach? And what are your goals with Teach Now? Let's go ahead and get started with Melissa. Do you want to answer those for us?
Hi, I'm Melissa, and I am located in Kansas City, Missouri in the United States. I teach pre-K right now. My goal is to become certified as a teacher. I'd like to stay with the younger ones though, like pre-K to maybe first grade.
That's great. And perfect. That sounds good. All right, thank you, Melissa. Okay, Dominic, would you like to go next?
Okay, I'm located in, hello, nice to meet you. I'm located in Africa, Côte d'Ivoire, Abidjan, and I work at the International Community School of Abidjan. I'm currently a learning assistant, that's a teacher's assistant in grade 5. I started as a teacher's assistant with the pre-K. So I did that one for 5 months, but I've been moved to grade 5 now. So it's a different experience, but it's very nice. So my goal is to become certified, and to also, to be a 21st century teacher that can, move along with the changes and not have this rigid view of education, can evolve and also revolve without, especially technology is revolving. And also I'm planning to teach, I can do from grade 1 to 5.
Wonderful.
Thank you.
Okay, Adriana.
Well, hi, good morning, everyone. Well, I am located in Bolivia, in La Paz, and I am actually a substitute teacher in an international school. I would love to apply to an AS for an assistant full-time job in that school, and well, I am planning to teach. I think I would love to teach at 3rd grade, but all elementary is okay. I love them. So, well, and my goals with Teach Now are to become the first teacher in the classroom, and well, I am actually doing the master program, so I don't know yet if I am going to take the early childhood education or the globalization program, but I am hoping to learn more about this teaching stuff. Yes, that. Thank you.
Thank you, Adriana. Okay, let's see who's next on this lineup here. Let's do Angela.
Hi, I'm Angela. I'm currently living in Arizona in South US. I'm about an hour southeast of Phoenix. I normally teach secondary, so middle school, high school, and I'd like to stay with that because that's what I'm most accustomed to. My goals. Classroom management would definitely be the big thing. I'm not great. Any others would be learning how to motivate the students, to get them excited, especially since I either teach language arts or I teach ESL. And if your students don't want to be in the classroom, you've got a fight on your hands. So I need to figure out those two things, managing the classroom and motivating the students.
Yes, awesome. I totally agree with you. Class management is a struggle for all because every year you get a different bucket of fun. And really, classroom management teaches you a lot about yourself too, and your own personal boundaries of what you're willing to put up with and what you are capable of. So that's why this is my favorite module, because it really is, it's introspective and it teaches you a lot about teaching. I'm excited. I'm glad you're excited too. Okay, let's see. Up next, let's have Annabelle.
Hi, I'm Annabelle. Taiwan right now. Right now I'm teaching grade 5, grade 8, and grade 11. My goal with teach now, I would say classroom management is definitely one. I have a rambunctious grade 5, which is driving me anyway. And I also want to learn about, I think that the activities that we learned has been helpful, and like the different apps and different ideas I can put into my classroom, that has been really helpful.
Perfect. Okay, thank you. And Annabelle, what grade level did you say you teach?
Oh, grade 5, grade 8, grade 11.
Wow, awesome. And actually, Angela, I missed yours too. What grade level do you teach?
Anywhere from 7th to 12th.
Okay.
Oh, that's what I'd like to do. That's not what I'm doing right now.
Okay, that's fair. That's
sorry.
perfect. No problem. Okay, great. Let's see. Can we hear from Ashley next? Okay, Ashley, you need to unmute your microphone. Let's see, I believe I can do that for you. Let's see, go ahead and speak. All right, go ahead.
I think. Okay, sorry. Yeah, I'm located in Stuttgart, Germany right now. I am currently a teaching assistant in where I teach English language and literature and physical education for grades 6 through 11. And what I'd like to do with Teach Now, obviously be certified and eventually be a licensed teacher, depending on if I move back to the States. That's definitely going to be something that's necessary. Here, not so much, but the certificate is very important. So yeah.
Wonderful. Okay, Jing, would you like to introduce yourself?
Okay. Good evening, everyone. I'm Jing. I'm currently located in Shanghai, China. And now I work in an international school. It's a British school, and I'm a teaching assistant in year 4. And the reason I take this credential program is because I like to learn more. I really feel that through the last a few modules, we like all the assignments that we did and all the resources provided to us. I feel that after learning that, I do have like a more I do feel that I learn more about like how to be a better teacher, like for example, personalized learning, PBL, and those are very important. And also, I think after I get a teaching credential, and I would like to maybe go to, if I don't go, okay, if I stay in Shanghai, maybe I want to go to some like bilingual school. And because I have the teaching, I have the credential, then I will be like kind of like competitive, I think. Yeah. But if I move to the US and I want to be like a Mandarin teacher. Yeah, that's it.
That's
Thank
awesome.
you.
Do you have plans to move to the US?
Yes, maybe in the future. I have that plan to move to the US.
How exciting.
Thank you.
Okay, and Sarah, would you like to introduce yourself? Sarah, I don't think we're able to hear you.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, there you go.
Okay. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So I'm Sarah, and currently in South Korea. There's something going. Okay. I teach elementary school right now, and I'm hoping, like through the Teach Now program, I'll gain more credentials and skill. Oh, I'll gain a credential and a skill and some skills. Sorry, my dog is making noise. But anyway, I hope that I can go to like an international school. I currently work at a cram school, and the hours are really long. So, yeah.
By cram school, do you mean a Hagwon?
Yes.
Oh, where in South Korea are you located?
Suwon.
Where?
Suwon.
Oh, Suwon. All right. Yeah, Suwon is so beautiful. I lived in South Korea for 3 years. Mostly I lived in Daejeon.
Oh, really?
So if you need a connection with a
nice.
better school in Korea, we can talk another time.
Sounds great.
Okay. Wonderful. All right, guys, so let's move on to the next part of our agenda, module expectations. So for module 4, which is classroom management, there are a couple of things that are slightly different from other modules. One of them being that the discussion forum, that there is required participation. I believe it's a part of maybe 3 or even 4 of the assignments that you'll be doing throughout this module where discussion is required. So that'll require checking into the platform daily if possible. If you miss a day, it's not a crisis, but trying to check in daily just to sort of see where the chat and the discussion is evolving to, and participating in it and being part of it, because being able to discuss learning concepts and classroom management concepts with your cohort and with your co-teachers in the future is a really important part of continuing to develop your mind and the endless evolving thing that is education. The other thing is that in the VCs, participation is also required. So today, everybody's already introduced themselves, so we've done great so far. But in every class, we're going to have, at the very least, a brief discussion, either just catching up on your week, talking about the assignments from the previous week or the assignments to come. And the last thing that I want to mention with the requirements for Module 4 is that you need to make sure that you read your assignments for the following week before the VC. That way you have kind of an idea of what kind of questions you're going to need to ask to complete the assignments. And also, if you could stagger your turn-in dates a little bit. This is something that every one of your instructors will be super grateful for, is if you maybe turn in one of your assignments by, I don't know, Monday, another one by Wednesday, and then that way they are not all coming in on Saturday right before the VC. Would be amazing. Any questions on that? All right, cool. Then we can move on to Introduction to Module 4, which is Classroom Management. And this, like I was saying before, is a very introspective concept because it really does push your personal boundaries and cause you to sort of look at what you're willing to allow in the classroom. Like you'll have teachers who are a little more relaxed and allow the volume to get to a level before they come back to it and knock it back down. And then you have other teachers that require absolute silence in every lesson. And so it varies from teacher to teacher. And this is why it's important to kind of think about what you want culturally. Maybe the culture that you're teaching in is a little bit different than the culture that you're from. And so, for example, Sarah, who's in South Korea, maybe your home culture, there's a little more freedom for conversation in the classroom and a little more freedom for movement and play. But in South Korea, it's a little more strict and a little more quiet typically. So that might be something you want to consider is like your personal culture versus the culture that you're teaching in. Or for Jing example, you're thinking of moving to America where there's a little more noise in the classroom. So maybe that might be something different from the personal culture where you've learned to teach. And so this is all something to consider moving forward. So let's turn this into another discussion. And what I'd like to ask now is, what are your strengths and weaknesses regarding classroom management currently? What do you know? What works for you, and what would you like to learn? And let's go ahead and start with Dominic. What are your strengths and weaknesses for classroom management?
All right. Sorry for that. I have to turn off my video. Okay, so I think one of the things, let me start with my weakness, right? So one of the things that I think I need to do more is how to repeat routines in class. Like to remember that we have to do this always. Like I think is a major thing that I'm trying to enforce and to practice, because I've seen it in the teachers that I respect a lot. I see that in them. They are able to repeat routines. They don't forget it, and they make sure that things are done every time like that. So I think that's one of the things I want to learn. Then for my strength, I think one of the things that I do for my class is I can easily like influence students to do things, maybe because I'm kind of free and funny. Like I kind of can just introduce a play and they all get excited. So without planning for it, like I meet people, and if you don't want to talk to me, I can just make you talk and start laughing. So I think that's kind of my strength. Like I can do something like, "Yeah," and they're like, "What's wrong with this guy?" So thank you.
Thank you, Dominic. That was cool. All right, Adriana, you want to tell us your strengths and weaknesses?
Well, I think for my strength, I would say I am a very empathic person. So I think that is really important, especially for younger kids, because they can feel that you care about them and that you are like their parents sometimes. So I think that is one of my strengths. And my weaknesses, I would say that I am very relaxed, and sometimes children are a little bit abusive or so. So they can like see that I am not so hard with them, and sometimes I think that is a weakness, especially with young children, because they sort of take that as something that you are weak with them, and yes, I think that.
Thank you for sharing. Okay, Angela, strengths and weaknesses.
Okay, so my biggest weakness is getting the students to consider me an authority figure. I have a very laid back personality. I'm not really forceful. So I do have some trouble getting the students to respect me as an authority figure, with the exception of the times that I've taught in a culture where they do that automatically, which is nice. So that was my big problem, especially teaching middle school, high school students. Once they caught on to the fact that I had trouble getting them to do things, it was all over. Strengths. I'm pretty good at, once the lesson is set up, getting the whole thing done. I've learned how to improvise in the classroom to get around not just behavioral issues, but also when students don't understand things, like you teach the entire lesson and nobody got it. Okay, now what do I do? I've gotten much better at being able to assess the students mid-lesson and the end of the lesson to realize, okay, this is what they didn't get. This is what we have to go back and redo.
Very good. Awesome. Yeah, the assessing what they need to learn and what to do to move forward is a very valuable part. And it seems like a lot of us here have laid back personalities and see this as our weakness. So this will be something that we can definitely talk about moving forward. Okay, Annabelle, strengths and weaknesses.
I definitely want to resonate what Angela and Adriana was sharing, that I also have a laid back personality, and they kind of were taking advantage of me. My strength would be that they know that I care about them. And like, for example, we have this ADHD students, right? And then he will be disturbing other students in the other classes, but he will not do that in my class because he knows that I care about him. So yeah, please address more on the laid back personality that we all have in the lesson.
Absolutely. Okay, Ashley, strengths and weaknesses. Okay, actually, Ashley, I am not hearing you. Let's see what we can do. All right, go ahead, Ashley.
I keep forgetting to turn it off. Okay. Piggybacking on what everybody else kind of mentioned about the personality, it's definitely something that I find to be struggling with, not occasionally, but I think me being a new teacher and relatively young, I think the children or some students, especially like 8th, 11th graders, they're 18, it's like 6-7 years difference, not much. Usually it's, a lot more. So they kind of want to be your friend and they want to, have a casual conversation, and I can be that person, and I don't want to be the don't talk to me, I'm an authority human and leave me alone. I want to be friendly, but it's like, how do we establish that line where it's like, well, you're supposed to listen to me, but we can have a chat too and laugh, so it's kind of hard to find that happy medium. Sometimes I definitely find it more struggling with the older kids versus, the grade 6, 7, 8s. I don't really have a problem with. But the older ones is for sure definitely hard, especially with the quality being much more rich. You know, they kind of know a lot at that stage, so you really want to know what you're talking about and be on your toes. And yeah, but in terms of strengths, I mean, I also find that personality is something that would really, it helps separate you, I think, in terms of your teaching and your styles, and so you can use it to your advantage. It's just about finding that way to actually deliver it across all the different grade levels and the appropriate ways of delivering it, I guess.
Very well put. Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, Jing, strengths and weaknesses.
Okay, so before coming to the current international to work as a teaching assistant, I worked in a local school in China. So I feel that it is so different because I feel that Chinese students, they just respect the teacher a lot more than students in international school. And they respect the teachers, and they will see that the teacher has like the very high authority. So if I work in a local school, then if I just stand in front of them, then they will be just quiet, or like it doesn't take me a lot of effort to make them be quiet. However, like now I'm in international school, I feel that sometimes even though I ask them to be quiet and they they just sometimes they don't listen to me unless maybe I need to raise my voice level so that they can listen to me. So this is one thing that I feel I needed to I don't know how to maybe it's the cultural difference. Yeah. So this is maybe one point of my weakness. I don't know how to manage that, but they do sometimes. They are very good because like some techniques I use to manage students is, for example, I would use clapping. So whenever I clap, then they follow me, and then everybody will just be quiet. And sometimes after I clap, I will say eyes on me, and then they will say eyes on you. Then they will just listen to what I will say. And besides that, whenever I want to tell them something important, I will just maybe stand there and be quiet. And then some students, they will notice me that I'm quiet, and maybe they think I need to tell them something important, then they will be quiet. So I will wait until all the students stop talking and all their attention is focused on me. Then I will start talking. Yeah, that's it. Thank you.
Those are some good skills. That sounds wonderful. And yes, I think you're right about the cultures being different, because certainly a lot of Asian cultures have a strong culture of respect for the teachers, whereas a lot of the Western cultures don't have as much. And that's definitely a struggle, is if you're teaching in a culture that is different from the one where you grew up, because you just see this whole other world of teaching, and battling the respect differences are maybe something that you are trained or prepared for, or are less trained or prepared for. It makes this whole thing more complicated. All right, Melissa, strengths and weaknesses.
I think one of my strengths would be I'm very good at forming relationships with the children, the kids in my class. They know that, I'm there for them, I care for them. But I think my weakness kind of goes hand in hand with that. I too am very kind of laid back, and I've been accused of being too nice. And I think sometimes the kids take advantage of that.
That seems to be an ongoing theme. Thank you, Melissa. All right, Sarah, strengths and weaknesses.
Okay. I think that a lot of my weaknesses are what other people said as well. I'm not very strict usually, and so some troublesome students might, and I think I'm too nice to a lot of my students, but I have good relationships with them. And I'll have like some routines to get students quiet again. But like, sometimes it works, and in classes where the students are really well behaved. But if there's like one troublesome student, then it's harder to control all of them. But okay. Great.
Yes, definitely. I agree. And then when you're having to manage the behavior in the classroom, it makes it impossible to teach any real content too. So that's why classroom management is very, very valuable skill to know. That way, if you have procedures, like Dominic said, and you have a good way to make sure that you keep the class on task, like Jing gave us some good examples on how to do that, then you can focus a lot more on teaching the content, which is really what we love to do because we are teachers and this is our passion. All right, wonderful. So let's see if we have time for the activity. We do. It will have to be brief, but we can do this. Okay, so I'm going to send you a link. This is actually a link that is included in your required reading for the following week. So this will hopefully cut down a little bit on your homework time. But let's read just a, okay, here's the link. This is the first document you're required reading. But for today, I just want you to quickly read the section that is titled, What is Classroom Climate? It's about 2 paragraphs in length. I will type that up. What is classroom climate? Okay, if you'd like to take a minute to read over that, maybe turn your cameras off while you're reading and then turn it back on so I know you've finished that paragraph. Thank you. Okay, let's give everyone just one more minute to just read some of the bullet points on that section. Okay, great. I see almost everyone is back from the reading. Wonderful. Okay, so what I would like you to do now is if in the chat box you could type up one of the bullet points that you read that you think you would like to know more about, so we can try and cover a little bit more of that in this unit. So in the section titled What is Classroom Climate, you saw a bunch of bullet points that are topics that we'll be covering, and I'd like each of you to pick one that you'd like to focus on and just type it into the chat box. Good. All right, wonderful, great. I'm going to actually copy these and add them to our agenda for the day, and I'll be sending these out to you all so you can look over these and have just a record of what we've discussed today. The last couple minutes of the class, we're gonna have Angela come on in and talk about licensure. So if anyone has any questions about licensure, this would be a good person to ask. Angela, you're welcome to go ahead and introduce yourself. Thank you for coming. Actually, you know, she might not be here yet. Sorry. All right, so before she gets here, we'll actually, let's talk about the assignments that are coming up for this following week. So let's take a look at activity 1 is an intro to classroom climate. So what you'll be doing for this activity is you'll watch a video and you'll annotate the video. Detail is good for this assignment, so you'll want to give some detail about what you're seeing and how you feel about it. Less giving me a summary and more giving me a reflection, and that would be ideal. And the other part of assignment 1 or activity 1 is to participate in the discussion on positive classroom climate. And this is where some of these bullet point comments that we've typed in the chat box will come in handy, so that as you're reading through the required reading, you can talk about how you feel about these different concepts about classroom climate. Feel free for the discussion to go in whatever direction you guys feel it. This is supposed to be a natural part, just conversing and making sure that everyone is, you know, expressing their opinions about the things that they're learning. Any questions on activity 1? And just so we're clear, if you do have questions, there should be a little raise your hand icon that you can use to express that. And if you don't have that on your computer, you can always just raise your hand physically and I will give you your chance to ask your question. All right, let's move on to activity 2, different perspectives on climate. So for this assignment, the first part is you'll be creating a Pinterest board. And this is going to be fun because you'll be compiling a collection of valuable tips or items that you would want to actually hang up in your classroom or ideas on how to decorate the classroom. But the idea behind it is just to create a positive classroom climate, something that you will be able to use. This will be a collection that you can genuinely keep as you get your own classroom and teach in your own spaces, things that you might for yourself want to print or replicate or create. So this Pinterest board is going to be valuable because you can save it and really use stuff that you think is relevant to your style of teaching. Has everyone here used Pinterest before?
Mm-hmm.
Yes? Excellent. Wonderful. That one should be pretty fun. And then once you've finished compiling your Pinterest board, you can just send the link into the activity. The second part of that is a Venn diagram comparison. So here you're going to be comparing and contrasting the culture and climate of 2 schools that you can access from the resources or from external resources. You're welcome to use schools that maybe are in the country that you're teaching in, or maybe in the neighborhood you're teaching in, or in places that you would like to teach. And of course, culture is going to have a lot to do with the different climate of the classrooms. And then in addition to that, your third circle in the Venn diagram is going to be the school where you are currently assisting, subbing, or teaching at. And then you're going to discuss points described in the what you'll do section of the assignment description, which is basically a reflection of what you've learned in the Venn diagram. And I actually have a really good example of the Venn diagram here that I can share with you. Go ahead and share my screen so you can see this. Actually, no, this one's not going to be able to be shared. Okay, but see, if you would like, here are some resources that you can use for creating a Venn diagram. Have you guys done Venn diagrams in the Teach Now assignments before? No? Okay, well then here are some resources that you can use. Meta chart is good. You can use that and then send the link. Lucid chart, I believe you've probably had an assignment that you've had to do Lucid chart before. And then also Google Docs. If you are a Google lover like me, then there's an application inside of Google Docs where you can create charts, or even the drawing app inside of Google. You can just create the three circles and then discuss this. Okay. Are there any questions on these assignments?
No.
All right. Fantastic.
I have a question. Sorry, yes. I have a question. So for the Venn diagram, you said that we need to compare 3 schools.
Mm-hmm.
One is the school that we are currently working in, right? And another school, so do these 3 schools have to be like a not completely, I mean like very different? For example, I can talk about like the school, like the international school I'm working in, and I also can like talk about the school that I previously worked at, which is the Chinese local school. And the third school, like what kind of another school that I can compare with?
Well, you're welcome to use schools that you are familiar with personally, but also in the activity resources, there's going to be a guide for other schools that you can find. There's a documentary on a school in Finland.
Okay.
And you're welcome to use those as well to sort of learn about the different classroom climates. Honestly, I would find it more fun to maybe go with as 3 different of schools as possible, just so that you kind of get like a wide perspective of the classroom climate in different cultures around the world, or even within a country, just maybe different schools. In America, it's really common for schools to have magnet themes. So some schools will be more rigorous and test-oriented, while other schools focus on being outdoors and playing in games. And then there's a whole series of game-based learning schools that use a lot of computer games to do learning and stuff like this. And it's fun. There's a lot of approaches for this. So feel free to expand your horizons and figure out what you like and what you want to focus on. Okay, great. And so we're just waiting on our license specialist. Do you guys have any questions about your licensure, or even any questions about I know a couple of you are in the master's program here and you're considering the early childhood or the globalization. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer those as well. All right, wonderful. Well, looks like we have a pretty self-sufficient group. You guys are, I've enjoyed meeting you today. We can actually go ahead and wrap up this meeting a little bit early if no one has any questions. Although I'm welcome to, I will stay after a little while in case anyone just wants to ask anything more personally. But at this time, as long as you have no questions about the assignments, I will be sending you the agenda from today's class, so that you can have a record of it and make sure that you understand everything clearly. I'm available via email. I will type my email in here so that you can reach out to me anytime. And I am located in Asheville, North Carolina, so I'm on Eastern Standard Time. So for some of you, that is 12 hours different from me. And if that's the case, then just give me a few hours to respond back to you. Okay, so that's my email. If anyone has any questions on the assignments, just let me know. Otherwise, I look forward to seeing you again next week. And I hope you have a great week.
Bye.
So just to confirm,